Hello, guys and gals, me Mudahar, and the roller coaster ride never really ends. Now, ladies and gentlemen, one of my good friends, Oompaville, Caleb, for those of you who don't know, actually ended up releasing a 2.5 hour long video regarding Mr. Beast's response. Now, I want to give it a little bit of context over here. I was actually over at Caleb's house last week. Me, Isaiah, Tom, Brandon Buckingham, Caleb's girlfriend, who obviously lives there, and Caleb, we were all filming stuff for a second channel that hopefully we're going to get up and running pretty soon in the coming future. We're recording a bunch of videos, banger stuff, playing around with cars, destruction derby, so on and so forth, but we were out there filming, okay? Now, actually on the way back, when we were coming home, all right, in the middle of my flight, and when I was connecting from Dallas to Toronto, fun thing, Caleb tells us, oh, Mr. Beast is coming over. So Caleb gets around 24 hours, if that, to actually set up a interview. We all contributed to the questions and answers. And he runs this massive interview, and it takes a few days, and it comes out. It was actually an insane thing. Nobody imagined it. Now, over the course of the weekend, Mr. Beast even ended up calling, and we basically gave him some sort of pretty simple suggestions, like, at least me personally, I said, respond to yourself. Be honest. Be truthful, okay? Like, I gave him that Persona 5 level advice. Just be honest. And, ladies and gentlemen, he comes out and basically doesn't really answer anything. I think this response is pretty garbage, to be honest with you. Now, I want to start off this video by saying that I'm very interested in things that involve, like, crypto scams. I'm very interested in how he's handled, hiring Delaware, all right, the character. I'm interested in how he runs his games and the fairness of them. Things that involve real laws and really serious situations, right? Because in amongst all of this, there's a mix of actual complaints that I think aren't really as important as some others, but, that's nor here nor there. So I want to just kind of rip the Band-Aid and jump into this, okay? It's going to be kind of a, quick and dirty video. I'm probably actually going to get pretty mad because some of the stuff that I've seen is, kind of shocking. Now, in this 2 hour and 24 minute long video, okay, in the very beginning of it, when Caleb is talking to Beast, there's not really a whole lot of discussion on crypto until towards the tail end when Mr. Beast is sort of put to the ringer, and we're going to kind of go through this and just go over some of the things that I find questionable. So, for context over here, for anybody that doesn't know about Mr. Beast's crypto stuff, there was a massive investigation that came out October 29th by a fair amount of individuals who were interested in Mr. Beast's crypto shenanigans. And there was one wallet that was identified as the Wu-Tang wallet in this situation, right? So, basically through Arkham Intelligence over here, they tracked Mr. Beast's Wu-Tang wallet, which, Mr. Beast has apparently since claimed that it wasn't his wallet. It belonged to a fund that he was apparently, that he gave money to, and they basically ran every trade, okay?
You have said that you do not control the Wu-Tang wallet. You said that last night. You said that a friend did it. You said you didn't know what Wu-Tang was.
A fund did it, yes, not a friend.
Right.
So there it is. It's a fund that did it, not a friend. It's a fund that he slid money to, okay? You get that? Fine so far.
On a podcast with Logan Paul about CryptoPunks, you talk about a call you had with Mr. Gary, where you claim to have bought and or sold CryptoPunks, but then later decided to roll the money into VeeFriends. And this is all like video, obviously. And this trading activity all happened within the Wu-Tang wallet, which we talked about last night.
Yes.
So if it was your decision, if semantically, if what you're talking about on the podcast, if it was your decision, your trading decision to buy and sell the punks or VeeFriends, even though you didn't press the buttons, was it actually your decision? Did you press the button? Did you not press the button? Was it your decision? And if it was your decision, and even if you didn't press the button, it still, to me, would mean that you had control of those trading decisions.
Yeah, these are good questions. Actually, I'm glad we're doing this follow-up thing so we can also just put all this stuff out there. So, yes, I did say that in the podcast, and I obviously did not press the buttons like I've been saying. I didn't pick what punks to buy or anything. Gary Vee.
I didn't pick what punks to buy or anything. Now, this is the thing that burns and chaps my ass, okay? Because it takes 5 fucking seconds to look this up yourself.
They did pretty good.
And any zingers? Any like real special
yeah,
ones?
I had some that like whatever 20, 30x.
What's a
We bought a lot with like the cigarettes because I thought
Cool.
that was an interesting attribute, and those did pretty well.
what's another?
We bought the ones with cigarettes, the punks with cigarettes, because I thought that was a pretty important attribute. So on one hand, he's going, I don't know what to buy. Also, I bought the ones with cigarettes. Like, you see, this is where, like, you know, one of my favorite, like, visual novels is Phoenix Wright. You know, like, when you're actually, like, deconstructing somebody's lie or, like, you know, misstatement, you can't cover up a fucking lie with another lie, okay? It just doesn't work that way, all right? Once you start to really take these statements and you start to look for all the contradictions and all of the, you know, issues, then it starts to become like really, like, it really hits you that, you know, obviously this is more shadier than it really seems, okay? You can't, so for this whole statement to make sense, you pretty much have to believe that what he said on an entire podcast with Logan Paul was complete horseshit and he had no idea what he was saying. So again, it's really hard when you rub your two brain cells for more than, I don't know, 3 fucking seconds and realize, either, you know, your first statement was wrong or this statement is wrong. And personally, I more lean towards that this statement is definitely a cover-up statement, and it's not entirely true, personally speaking.
I didn't pick what punks to buy or anything. Gary Vee, like I said on that podcast, like I've been saying, I didn't pick what I obviously did not press the buttons. Like I've been saying, I didn't pick what punks to buy or anything.
a lot with like the cigarettes, 20, 30x.
What's a any like real special?
Yeah,
ones?
I had some of them, and they did pretty good.
And what's a
We bought a lot with like the cigarettes because I thought
Cool.
that was an interesting attribute, and those did pretty well.
what's another?
So it's like, I didn't buy it, and then we bought. Which statement is true? I'm not entirely sure there, I guess. We'll just have to go with his words. So that's already one issue right there. But anyways, let's go on to the next point.
The Supercoin tweet. For context, on May 12th, 2021, you, Mr. Beast, tweeted in response to it was a Elio Trades tweet. There's a gym sitting there on the market at an eye-watering price set to explode during DeFi Summer 2.0. And then you responded by saying super ? With a crazy emoji.
So what Caleb is referring to over here is more specifically this one Elio Trades account where they're like, hey, there's a gem sitting there on the market at eye-watering prices set to explode during DeFi Summer. And of course, Mr. Beast under there goes, super? Ooh, whatever the hell that emoji is supposed to be. So yeah, that was and here's the thing, all right? He points this out, and one thing that I have to say is obviously nobody is calling Mr. Beast like a scammer in this situation. What is being discussed is the ethics of an influencer who has a stake in a financial token, or at least their fund does, and not properly disclosing it, okay? If you have been part of a token, or maybe even possibly a pre-sale, as this investigation on Mr. Beast was kind of leaning towards, then you sending possible buy signals is just very unethical unless you completely disclose that you're in that token so your audience knows what to get or your audience understands why you're actually why you're actually putting those buy signals out there. Now, Mr. Beast's idea is apparently you have to pretty much tell the world, guys, buy this token, and that's pretty, like, it's a very binary system, okay? There's never really one of those things where, yes, by me tweeting things out, this could be possibly treated as a buy signal. Like, one of the biggest influencer in the world is tweeting out the name of a token. Some could look at that as a buy signal. I mean, these are things where, again, if you properly told people that, yes, you were in that token or your fund was, it wouldn't be that big of a deal. Listen to this.
Disclose that you had a vested interest in the coin that you were tweeting about, super ? Yeah, we'll start there.
Well, I replied to a tweet, so I did tweet it out, and I think a lot of people, you know, that are just getting second hands of the story think I literally tweeted out, go buy super, go buy super.
Okay, first off, I'm going to state right now, this is a yes or no question, okay? This is a yes or no question. That's it. It doesn't have to be, all right, let's get the Yap Olympics ready and talk about it. You literally were just saying, why didn't you just disclose? You know, you could have just said, yeah, I fucked up. I should have disclosed it. Why does it have to become this? But no. Here's like no. It's a yes or no question. Simple as that.
Yeah, the fund did hold some super, and I just saw that was the owner of super, the guy who made the coin, and I just went scrolling through Twitter, just replied super to his tweet. I did not tell people to buy super or anything. I just replied super. And I know the next thing where people are going to go, but this was a planned, coordinated thing. It wasn't. It's not like I'm on the phone with the people managing the crypto fund going, hey, I'm about to reply super to this tweet. Like, I just was scrolling Twitter and I replied super. And like, I highly doubt anyone bought it because they saw me reply super to a tweet. I mean, just to be honest. So I didn't think too much of it. Obviously, though, in hindsight, I mean, I could see how people might think that is a weird look optically.
So he knows that it's like a weird look optically. Like, bro, nobody is calling you a scammer. It's just take a little bit of that goddamn L that's provided. Simple as that. Like, that's all anybody is really kind of asking in this situation. And of course, you can read through the entire like super trade for yourself. It wasn't really a small trade. Like the people that ended up actually tracing the on-chain history, it ended up being a situation where apparently the fund, all right, subtracting Mr. Beast's pre-sale investment of $100,000 according to this report, and the $24,000 buy-in in 2023 in total across all wallets, the estimated profit is roughly $11.4 million, okay? So again, not a tiny fraction of money, okay? Should have been 100% disclosed, period, in the story, okay? Should have been 100% brought forward. Anyways, this is pretty much all we're going to leave it as super. I think the next part of this like story, the next actual coin that Caleb brings up, which is Eternity Chain, is even more wilder. Okay, so let's listen to this one.
Yeah, but now I mean, obviously, with because crypto is changed massively in the last couple of years, so you could consider that a mistake at this point. Like that's definitely
And another little context point I think a lot of people are missing. A lot of people who do this kind of stuff do it on low volume coins that like sell $100,000 a day.
All right, again, this is another good example of Caleb, my friend, giving him basically the nicest cushion out. Okay, like Caleb could have given him like 3 parachutes and then kicked him off of the fucking plane. Wait, the guy is safe. All right, all he had to do is say, yeah, it's bad. All right, it's a yes or no question. All right, just go, yeah, it's bad. But then he goes, but yap yap yap. There's people who are just way worse, okay? They do things way worse, okay? Dude, you just have to take the L on this, all right? Like, this man cannot take a little bit of criticism, take it on the chin and do better next time. It's all these, like, Yap Olympics, okay? It's insane.
Gotcha. And then the final one, this one's a lot more complicated and involves a lot of stuff. So I mean, maybe you would want to reconvene with like receipts or evidence or whatever, but it's the crypto charity stuff, Team C's Eternity.
Yeah.
So, I mean...
that one, Eternity gave us NFTs to auction off for Team C's. Only one sold after a day, I believe, and that was it.
Okay, so this is another piece of misinformation thrown right out there, okay? Now, if it's one thing that I can tell you, men lie, women lie, the blockchain does not fucking lie, okay? So to give an idea about Eternity Chain, this is actually a pretty complicated involvement, but it brings up something known as charity, which obviously Mr. Beast is known as, the charity dude, the guy that, gives money away, the guy that, builds wells and all that stuff. If it's anything that he should be 100% like truly on the up and up and professional about is anything charity related. So Eternity Chain, according to this investigation, launched in 2021 as a platform dedicated to verifying the authenticity of NFTs, offering a secure marketplace for trading digital collectibles. It quickly gained attention through exclusive collections endorsed by celebrities like Muhammad Ali and Pele, okay? To honor the 50th actual anniversary of the fight of the century, you got this Muhammad Ali NFT. Mr. Beast like, this one will be hype, okay? So he's in there. But importantly, if you did go to the actual website for Eternity Chain right over here, one person even asks, hey, what is your, partnership? And you look into the partners and investors and it says Mr. Beast right here. Now it doesn't say, Mr. Beast's like fund, the crypto fund that, he's putting money into. This is literally Mr. Beast, which by extension is like Jimmy Donaldson, the face of the organization, the personality. So people expect this is Mr. Beast, not the Mr. Beast fund, Mr. Beast directly. Now, when they talk about the Eternity Chain like sales, you can go to OpenSea.io and you can go to something known as the Eternity's Master Collection. Now, this is the actual collection right over here. All right, for Eternity Chain. And in the search, you can type in something like Team C's. And if you hit enter, you'll find Yondo Mondo at Team C's. Now, one of these did actually sell, which was Yondo Mondo X Team C's The Clownfish. Now, if you go to The Clownfish, what Jimmy is talking about is the fact that, yes, one of those, I guess, sold a day after.
Only one sold after like whatever, a day, I believe, and that was it.
They were listed by the Eternity Deployer. So if you look at the actual date, you can see that it was not a sale, it was a fucking offer. So whether Jimmy is confusing the offer or the sale, one on November the 2nd, you can see that the actual sale for 700 ERN happened literally December 23rd, 2021, which from what I understand is literally during the charity. Like you're selling things as a charity is going on, okay? A charitable organization, a charitable event is occurring. You can see the sale right over here, you know, for yada, yada, yada. It's fucking insane. It's like right there. You can verify this yourself. I showed you how to verify it. I showed you how to manipulate the blockchain, do blockchain kung fu.
And then, yeah, it looks like the fund sold like 27 days later, a little bit of Eternity. It was not combined or planned or premeditated in any way. I mean, honestly, the charity auction was a bomb. It only raised $7,000. No one cared, so it didn't really do anything. And yeah, I mean, that's kind of the full story. Not again.
So when we look at the actual analysis on this wallet, right, according to the guys over here, you can see that these sales, right, at some moment when, you know, you get these ERN tokens from a pre-sale, there's buying of the ERN token, they transfer these to side wallets, allegedly, and then they start to sell their supplies, right? So again, you can see that $857,000 here profited, $977,000. Like we're looking at 2.9 million, all right, which when it comes to selling all these ERN tokens or the supply, it's insane. It's a shit ton of money. So listen to this right here.
Yeah, it sold $2 million of the ERN tokens.
Yes, the fund did 27 days later, yes.
The fund did. All right. So again, anytime you come across something that is incredibly shady, all right, even if it doesn't have to, it's just shady. It's always the fund is there to take sort of that like responsibility for it, to be that sort of proxy in this, right? Which is insane when you just keep looking at it. It's just fucked how this is happening. But yeah, there's not much to glean out of this other than it always just defaults to the fund. Okay. Now again, if you're the charity guy, you should be pretty upfront. You should pretty much bring up to the... None of these like charity-related crypto transactions should have even occurred. Even if it was the fund or him or whatever, should just never have happened, okay? It's really fucking shady when you see, you know, the charity guy, all right, and you see... Now you see the fund that the charity guy is associated to basically profiting pretty heavily during a period or, you know, around the period of a charity drop. It's insane. It's wild. And the way that he responds to it is like the most corporate PR level response. You don't really glean much out of it other than this is not a real person, okay? It's insane. But there are a couple other things that I want to hit up, by the way, too, that come out to this story. One of them is related to the faking of his content, okay? So one of the things that gets brought up throughout this is the concept of CGI, which I personally think is kind of a moot point to begin with, okay? Obviously, any creator is going to be using some form of editing trickery to modify their content. But one of the things that I really wish was properly addressed in this entire situation, which really didn't seem like it was, is the concept of literally modifying the rules of an actual tournament. Now, remember, these are people competing for money, right? So $500,000. And when you got people who are, you know, replacing key figures in competitions at key intervals, and you've got actual, like, you know, production team members giving, like, you know, tools to assist a certain group or a certain team, you are modifying, you are rigging the games, all right? That's what it appears to be. Now, the reason why this is pretty important to me is if you look up the history of, like, 1950s quiz shows in the United States, all right, just a quick cursory glance will show you that, like, there was a series of scandals where producers and contestants of several popular American television quiz shows, the show's producers gave assistance to certain contestants in order to prearrange the show's outcomes. And they did this because they wanted to improve ratings, they had some greed, lack of regulations. Like, improving ratings is kind of a parallel to the Mr. Beast stuff. Like, if you want to make a banger video, that's understandable, right? But when you're running a game, right, a game where you're testing people's abilities and you're bringing them on board so they can win money, it has to be fair. And why does it have to be fair? Because of these scandals, there were entire laws. So 47 U.S. Code 509 prohibited practices in contests of knowledge, skill, or chance. So it shall be unlawful for any person with intent to deceive the listening or viewing public, that's you the viewer, to supply to any contestant in a purportedly bona fide contest of intellectual knowledge or intellectual skill any special and secret assistance whereby the outcome of such contests will be in whole or in part prearranged or predetermined. Now, one could say that this might have more to do with, like, you know, a traditional game of, like, you know, chance, like something like Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, where you can't just feed people the entire answers or questions, but there can be an argument that these games have a mix of physical/intellectual knowledge requirements, and if you are assisting anybody in any ways, you could be rigging the game, you could be prearranging the outcome, which obviously affects people who are competing for money. Like, it's insane shit, and I wish that would have actually been properly addressed in this situation. I mean, there were serious arguments even in the case of, like, Stacey Stillman from Survivor. So if you don't know the story, this is way back during, like, the first season of that show, which, by the way, Survivor's crazy, because that show's, I think it's still going on to this day. So, according to the case in broad strokes, okay, in order to save one contestant, known as Rudy, Mark Burnett personally talked to Sean Keniff and Dirk Bean, both members of this tribe, and influenced them to vote out Stacey, okay? So in this, Stacey was actually, they argued that the game was ended prematurely when she actually should have stayed on the island over somebody like Rudy. So who was being targeted for being a liability in challenges? Not only did he affect Stacey's outcome by trying to manipulate One Boot, he affected the entire season's outcome, okay? When you take somebody out of the mix, you are affecting the chances of every single thing happening after that moment. So it's still unclear as to what Stacey ultimately asked as restitution. She claimed she asked for $75 grand for out-of-pocket expenses and punitive damages. Some information and depositions would later claim that Stacey asked for $5 million as well as a spot in another reality show that isn't run by Burnett, because CBS and Stacey settled out of court for this undisclosed amount, okay? So that doesn't mean, like, CBS is guilty of whatever accusations Stacey was making, and nobody will ever really know the truth of the matter. But the idea that I'm mentioning this case is mostly due to the fact that, yes, in a, you know, game of chance, in a game of physicality or intellectual, like, spirit, you do need to make sure rigging doesn't happen. If you're modifying the outcome of the sport, that could seriously be possibly illegal, right? And it might depend on how broadcasting rights are considered. YouTube is treated differently than television or film or anything of that nature. But these are things that I feel were more important questions that probably should have been brought up, okay? And honestly, I should have probably texted this to Caleb. It really came up after the fact. I thought it would have been mentioned because it was actually a pretty serious, legitimate part of Dogpack 404's initial video. So inside one of the documentations for Mr. Beast, one of the things that was actually discussed here was the fact that apparently the Reddits that were kind of blowing the story up on the social media front were actually apparently removing some of the actual content from their Reddits. So inside over here, one of the things that they kind of brought up was the fact that on one of the subreddits over here, a lot of the posts where people were actually challenging the norm, they were being removed by the moderators of that subreddit, right? So this part of the video made me lose faith in Dogpack. Sorry, this post has been removed by moderators. Now, while I agree that removing content like this is never good, it always comes across as, yes, you have a bias, I find it fucking hilarious that Mr. Beast is actually talking about this, because if you really look at his content, right, when this whole thing started, right, when people were looking at him, looking at Shadman's poster on the wall, he was the guy that was removing a lot of those snippets out. They were cutting them out of videos. I'm not going to personally look and make a statement that they were deleting comments, but it really looked like the comment sections were more sanitized than they should have been, okay? There might have actually been over-moderation of the comments. So the fact that these people are talking about, you know, challenging points removed or challenging contentions removed or censored is hilarious, okay? These are the same people that, in my opinion, from what I personally have seen, were absolutely responsible for the same thing, okay? It's crazy, all right? The fact that they're going to act like the one side didn't have this bias when the other side, you know, also appeared to have this bias is a bit insane, and one thing that I feel is worth bringing up in this whole story. One of the things that I also wanted to talk about was Lunchly as well, where Mr. Beast was kind of like discussing the idea of mold in the product. Remember, at the time, plenty of creators, Rosanna Pansino, one of the biggest ops, had found mold in their Lunchly, okay? I think in like the first box they got. It wasn't just her, it was actually a fair amount of other influencers. So I wanted to play this part and just let you listen to it.
That Lunchly had been recalled due to those problems, due to the mold problems.
Yes.
Moldy cheese. How do you plead?
Yes. How do I plead? What, am I on trial? Well, there was no recall. I mean, that's been said, which, again,
Which is true. It takes one quick search on the FDA's website to verify if a recall is in place, which there was not, and there hasn't been at all from my knowledge. So yeah, that one definitely right.
Like, it's so annoying, the disinformation, man, because that makes it seem like there's an actual serious problem. Oh, we're recalling Lunchleys, and there's a sign that, you know, I think Logan even did a video, if you want to throw up, where he like went to the store and that just wasn't real. That like someone put on like a door that said Lunchley has been recalled when the shelves are empty by the FDA, which was just a made up thing. Yeah, on the mold thing, here's the thing. We, every single Lunchley with cheese meat is USDA inspected. There is no mold when it leaves our factory. Yeah. Like, we have the highest QC standards imaginable. Like, what do we have? Why would we ship that out? Like, that doesn't even make sense. You know what I mean? And we obviously have the best experts in the world. I mean, even once these things come out, I mean, we brought even more. They're pouring up and down the lines, making sure everything's good. It's just, the thing is, here's a context a lot of people leave out. Look at, I don't want to name specific brands but take a specific brand that comes into your mind when you think of something like Lunchley, something that's very similar, specific brand, I don't know, other brands, competitors, and Google their name and put the word mold behind it. You'll see thousands upon thousands of examples.
All right, let me do the test here real quick, okay? I'm on a virtual machine. I'm going to go into full fucking incognito mode, all right? I'm going to make sure that there is no preconcerned bias from my algorithm. I'm going to do exactly what he said. I'm going to type in something that sounds similar, like Lunchables, okay? And mold, all right? Lunchables and mold, all right? Let's try looking for this one. Let's see. Mr. Beast accused of selling moldy meals to kids. Mold is... Bro, the SEO is all against you, bro. It's all against you. I mean, it's crazy. It's all about his product. So he's saying that there's thousands of results. It takes 5 fucking seconds, okay, to verify this claim yourself. Now, here's the thing about it too, right? He's right. Obviously, if there is nothing in their product and it leaves the facility, it's not really their fault. But one counter question to this is, if there's so many people, content creators, not just your ops, okay? Not just that Rosanna Pansino girl. If they're all getting moldy Lunchables, or if there's a high percentage of them, there might actually be something at your facility that is the concern, right? You saying there's high QC standards, there's probably more issues than you're letting on. And I'm just saying it because of the amount of people that ended up getting these. It wasn't normal. It wasn't a right amount. It should have been very minimal, but it didn't really seem to be. And here's the thing. I have no issues with content creators that make products and try to sell them to the audience. I've done it in the past. Every content creator has tried their hand at this as well. Sometimes it's successful, sometimes it isn't. But in Mr. Beast's case, when you have a high percentage of children watching your content, because that's what you're fucking making it for, you're making these Lunchly products, you need to be extra careful when you're distributing anything food related that it doesn't contain stuff like that. And it feels like this is, again, just another cute corporate PR response that really doesn't bode well, personally speaking. Now, I was also interested in the idea of illegal lotteries as well, right? So Mr. Beast did these giveaways where allegedly he did possible illegal sweepstake lotteries. And inside Soggy's video, I think he discounted, again, like 2 of those. He said 2 of them didn't seem illegal. 1 potentially did, all right? So I want to hear what Mr. Beast says about it.
So Dawson claimed that you ran multiple illegal lotteries, and, you know, in Soggy's video, he sort of, I think, disproved 2.
Yes.
And then 1 he still believes was an illegal lottery.
Yes.
Do you believe that you ran an illegal lottery? Did you believe at the time? What was your mindset? Did you check with the FCC? Was there any compliance, any steps taken to prevent this? What is your just perspective on that?
Yes. So I don't think we did. I have people looking into it and like trying to pull the footage and figure it out.
So immediately right here, I don't like the implication of asking, do you believe you did anything wrong? Like, dude, it's a yes or no question. Do you think you were doing anything wrong or not, right? Like, was there something, yes or no? So again, when it comes to a lot of these like answers, it always just comes, like every single thing that I've sort of heard so far out of all of this is just, I'm just being stupid, I guess, okay? Like, oh, I made a mistake. Oopsie daisy, I wasn't really thinking things through. Like, it always comes out, like, the actual response is always, either trust me, bro, when it comes to the crypto stuff, because really all these things come out to, just trust me, bro, please, just believe what I'm saying. Or it comes out to, you know, clearly him going, yeah, we made a mistake. I didn't know any better. I have a team looking into it, yada. It's all just corporate PR nonsense response. So when it comes to Delaware, the RSO that apparently was working in Mr. Beast, right? Long story right over there. Mr. Beast responds to that as well. So let's listen to this one.
Your mom was previously head of your HR department. And some people have criticized that as a conflict of interest. Did you personally, at the time, even consider that? And do you now also acknowledge that that is a conflict of interest?
Oh, I agree.
Yeah, of course it's a conflict of interest, bro. If your mom is the HR department of the office, you really think people are going to come out and tell them about malfeasance of the workplace when it's literally the mom of of your boss? It's crazy shit, all right? I mean, you don't have to be like a 25, 26. You could be an 18-year-old, 19-year-old, figure out, yeah, maybe the person that people come to for human resource, questions shouldn't be directly related to me. It's insane that we have to really question this.
A dumb thing to do.
Yeah.
I do think context matters though, because like this is where a lot of these things that I assume we're going to talk about is like people conflate current Mr. Beast with 400 employees and spending hundreds of millions of dollars a year with Mr. Beast when he's a teenager and starting. I mean, when I first started hiring people, it was like, oh, we went to high school together. You want to help me make videos? And I hired a couple of my friends from high school. And then I was like, how do I do taxes and this kind of stuff? And I was like, Mom, help. And I mean, I wouldn't say she's head of HR. I mean, she was, I guess, but she's also running finance. And, it's not like a real company. We just get in this like little $700 no, actually that one was $1,080 a month office I was renting.
So yeah, the mom in this situation, for context, was starting the business out early. The mom was handling a lot of stuff that was more payroll related, which yes, HR and payroll stuff kind of almost go hand in hand with each other. But again, if you have somebody at the time you're hiring from Best Buy, and like I said, you guys are all kids, you don't know how to do background searches. Why didn't your mom ever think, hey, maybe I should do a background search? Or at least in some capacity, even if you don't background search somebody right there and then because you trust what Best Buy says, when you start to become more established and you're bringing other people into your organization, why not then background check the people that you hired in legacy, all right? You can do that later on. You can do that on your own. And if issues arise, then you can bring them up before they become issues down the road like they did right here. And look, nobody's saying that a manager with a shady, like really fucked up past like that, can't work at a company. Like, obviously, somebody like Delaware who has a history being on the registry like that, they could work at a place like Amazon in complete solitude. But the thing about working at a company like Mr. Beast, where, you have the potentiality of dealing with children, whether it be directly in person or whether you could access, get access to children through like Discord servers that the organization is running or social media channels, is also something that you have to question. You have to think about the safety of not obviously just yourself and your team, but again, the people that you're interacting with, possible children. These are all things anybody should think of. And maybe if it wasn't Mr. Beast thinking of it, it surely should have been the mom. Like, again, like I said with Phoenix Wright stuff early, okay? When you look at these statements and you just keep adding and adding and adding on to them, the questions, you keep questioning every single thing here. So why didn't the mom take care of this early on? That's the question I ask now.
Obviously, when I was a teenager, I didn't know what a background check was. And I just hired a couple people there that wanted to help me make videos. One of them was the person named Delaware. And no, I did not know he was a registered sex offender. There's a rumor that's gone around that said that he sat me and my mom down and told us. Obviously, I don't remember that happening. And when I read that tweet, the first thing I did was I called my mom and I was like, hey, this is like 7 or 8 years ago. Just put this in context. 7 or 8 years ago. Not indicative of my company today, but I was like, did this happen? Because someone's claiming this happened. My mom said, I would have literally quit or honestly probably shut the business down before I ever let my teenage son hire a registered sex offender knowingly.
I think the question should be, hey, we hired somebody. Why didn't the mom do the background search, right? Like, why didn't that happen? And I was finding weird, like, I don't remember. Like, it either happened or it didn't, dude. Like, you don't have to really remember something. Like, it either happened or it didn't. But I'm getting a little bit anal over here, and I understand that, it's probably should cool down a little bit. Anyways, to move on from this point, which again, nothing here is satiated me or really anything. Again, complete PR stuff to me. I want to go over to the next big thing right in the situation, which are the Mr. Beast games. So one good thing out of all this response so far is the idea that he actually referenced 2 of the actual unions right here. So a lot of people brought up a pretty serious thing that he never used union people involved. Here he mentions 2 unions, which is the National Association of Broadcast Employees and Technicians, and of course the Directors Guild of Canada. So again, great that he brought this up. But then he gets down into the weeds. He brings up one story of a woman with like feminine care products, right? That, it was apparently not handled in the best way. But the other thing is like, hey, listen, we scoured and we couldn't find anybody with crazy broken bones, even though there was a litany of complaints, right? This is from the New York Times, where it was brought up that several contestants said that they had sought out production staff members for assistance with medical care, food, hygiene issues, and the staff members were often not helpful and appeared disorganized. Some staff members yelled and cursed at contestants, one participant said. So there's a fair bit of stuff that still, I guess, needs to really be addressed over here. One of them apparently was several contestants said they'd not received their medication on time, including one contestant who needed insulin instead of receiving it hours or even days after their scheduled dosing times, which, if you don't know anything about insulin, can be pretty bad. So one one actual journalist that I know good terms with, we and him have talked, Stephen Asarch. The claims of mistreatment and abuse on these sets of the Beast games were not blown out of proportion, and this is a response to Beast going, "We have tons of behind-the-scenes dropping when the show does go to air to show that how blown out of proportion these claims were." So, again, I'm sure whatever footage these guys are going to release is totally going to be unbiased, okay? It's not as if, like, if there is any bad footage, that's also going to make the cut. Clearly, obviously. So, according to Steven over here, he says the crew members and contestants I spoke with were hurt, underfed, and mistreated by a production that only focused on getting the shot. None of our production managers or production coordinates were union, and their complete lack of experience working in a show of that vastness showed painfully every day, one former crew member from Toronto told me yesterday. So again, all right, conflicting claims over here. They mentioned that they had unions. You got reporters and big publications saying, the otherwise, and obviously bringing up claims that still haven't really been properly addressed. So yeah, there is a lot of shit in this response, and obviously this video is getting way too long. So I'm going to kind of cut it over here. I think this response is complete garbage. Me, I was interested in the points that I've just discussed over here, and more so, really when it comes to the crypto stuff in the beginning of the video, but also when it comes to things like running a fair game. Look, at the end of the day, I care about laws, and I care about ethics, and I care about the, proper due process of them. I don't think Mr. Beast has been really good handling that, and I also don't think that his responses are really good in any regard over here. So again, it might seem like I'm going too hard on him. Look, at the end of the day, I don't think anybody in this scenario is a great person, okay? I really don't think so whatsoever, especially not Mr. Beast or Jimmy Donaldson or whatever. If it's one person I definitely don't trust, it's him. When I have people in our community accuse me of getting bribed by Mr. Beast, I pretty much have to be upfront and honest and say that I've never received any payment. Mr. Beast never communicated with me about any of this. And I don't really think him communicating with me would have ever made a difference, okay? There would be no pulling the wool over my eyes, personally speaking. I waited for this response. I got this response through, Caleb's channel. And I will say right now, this response does not satiate anything whatsoever. In fact, if anything, I have more questions about the ethics and Mr. Beast as a whole. Look, at the end of the day, I hate the idea of Tom Sawyering this response, like going through various commentary channels, news channels, people who are going to interview you instead of actually uploading this to yourself. Mr. Beast is more interested on this being, shared on other channels where millions of people in the most important camp, the most questioning of audiences that he has, are going to listen to it. But he is absolutely trying to find a way to make sure that the majority of his audience, like the people that, obviously don't know or care about this stuff, won't ever hear about it whatsoever from his mouth. I don't think anybody should be playing fucking, tactical defense for this guy. Okay, if Mr. Beast, if you want to actually protect yourself, if you want to actually, protect the brand you've built, it's best to be honest. It's best to not work with misinformation, all right? As some of these responses you've given, in my opinion, are, and actually protect yourself on your own terms, okay? Instead of bringing some of my friends into the mix, other channels into the mix, it just doesn't make any sense. Like, it's fucking insane that it's actually gotten to this point. Like, the man literally just wants to, again, Tom Sawyer his defense out, okay? Let the other people, carry the water for him. At the end of the day, this man is responsible for his own destiny, and really, this response should have been, a million times better, and should probably be uploaded on the main Mr. Beast channel if he actually is truly wanting to address some pretty serious criticisms levied against him. Anyways, if you like what you saw, please like, comment, and subscribe. Dislike if you dislike it. I am out.